Well, good evening. Welcome to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. This is Sandi. And I've been talking to Diana in the chat as we were waiting for everything to start. And she asked about the fires. So let's talk about that just first. We have had fires to the north, northwest, west. We did get some rain today. And I saw a few videos of some friends of ours that live out on the prairie more, and it really rained there. We just had more sprinkles in town. So hopefully, I hear good news tonight that it has helped with the fires. They have been dropping water and slurries and digging ditches and trenches, and those poor firemen and all those workers out there. I feel bad for them, all the work that they have done. So, Diana, thank you for asking about that. But today, fun topic. I always like to have a topic. And if you haven't been in my live streams before, I try to keep them at 30 minutes because you're busy, I'm busy, and there's a lot of things to do. A lot of, everybody has a life. So 30 minutes on Monday nights is what I try to do. Henry is in here too. Hello, Henry. And Blue is here. Hey, girl. It's morning for her, night for me. But good morning and good evening, depending on where you are. But tonight we're going to talk about how to share your knowledge. Now, if you have a YouTube channel, for the most part, probably you started it just so that you could share your knowledge. And Madeline is in. Hey, girl, how are you? Awesome. So if you have a YouTube channel, you probably started because you wanted to share. And we do have bug out bags just in case. Luckily for us, first it was coming towards us, then the wind changed and it was going more kind of towards us, but up north too. So, but the wind is fickle. So, but we do have bug out bags just in case we would have to leave. And so thanks for thinking about us. That's very kind of you. So you have all these things, knowledge, things you want to share, things you want to do. How do you do that? Now we're on YouTube, so probably the first thing you think of is having a YouTube channel. But some people don't want to do that. They don't want to have all the stuff that has to go with that, but they still want to share stuff. Maybe you just want to share it with your family. And I thought, how could you just share it with your family? Some easy ways to do it. Well, you could do videos that were just to your family. You don't have to go through YouTube. You can just do videos on your phone. You can save them on a thumb drive. And then if your family asks you different things, you have that. You can share that. But then I thought, what about if for a year you had a notebook and every time you thought about something you wanted to share with your family, you could write it down. Oh, Madeline has a good question. What's a bug out bag? A bug out bag is a backpack or mine is a backpack that you just have some stuff in there in case an emergency and you had to leave your house. Like mine has a couple pairs of changes of clothes. It has a toothbrush, it has toothpaste, it has some money, it has just different things that I thought I might need in case I needed to leave someplace. A lot of times in winter here in Wyoming, people have those bags in their trunks just in case you get stuck in the snow. That usually has some food in there. Maybe a charger for your phone is in there. Like I have a fire starter. I have a knife in there. I just have different things. Madeline, if you Google bug out bag, they will just give you a myriad of ideas of what to put in there. Just remember, you do have to carry it. So if you have a 60-pound bug out bag, how long can you carry that? Cast seeds, and if they land on fertile soil, it grows, and you don't need a bug out bag if God is with you. But what was it in? Well, Bible, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about or if it's something else. Oh my gosh, my newest friend on YouTube is here. Willow, how are you? She says, I live in fire country in the foothills of California, so it's such a great idea. I think it's a good idea too. You know, sometimes you're only gone for an hour or two or a day or two, but it's nothing, it doesn't hurt anything. And I think it's always good to be prepared. Not that we're not trusting in God, because we are, but there's nothing wrong with having it either. Okay, so back to our subject for the night. First, if you haven't checked out Willow's channel, Willow Rose Cottage, and she's in California, and she's fun, she's eccentric, and I like her a lot. I've watched, I think, almost every video she has. Yes, even in snow country, because sometimes we get stuck in the snow. Sometimes we go get our Christmas tree and we get stuck. So it's always good to have a few little things in there. Okay, so what about if you had a book that and you decided, you write 2024 on there, you have a book, and every time you think of something that you want to share with your family, you write it down, or you take a picture. Maybe you have a recipe that they love, your family loves, so why not share that with them? You can take a picture on your phone, you could write it down, put it on a recipe card, photos, quotes, what books you're reading. It's just things to share your knowledge. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. How else could you share your knowledge? What about podcasts? Some people don't want to be on videos, but they would do a podcast. You know, a lot of podcasts, all you hear is the voice. You don't see the person at all. That's a way to share your knowledge. But let's put it down a little more local. How could you share your knowledge with all the people around you? I've done classes at the library. As long as you're not charging, the library usually lets you do classes. I've taught lots of classes for the master gardeners at the library to share knowledge. Your extension office, you can schedule classes. And oh, look at all these people just popping in. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Annie. If I missed anybody, just say something in the chat and then I will say hi to you again. I'll say hi to you the first time, not again. What about if you want to do classes at your house? Hey, Patty, how are ya? Say you wanted to share how to make cheese, how to bake bread, how to make sourdough bread. And you don't really want to do it all out in a different space, but it's very comfortable at your house and you don't mind having 2 or 3 people. Why not do that? Share your knowledge with those people. And everybody's saying hi to everybody. Red Scott, hello, how are you? I like that verse. Thank you for that. Everybody say hi to everybody. Now, where else could you do it? I have taught gardening classes at churches before. I taught it at one church, and then other churches, some people that were in that class asked if I would come to theirs. And so then they would, and we were talking about gardening. It was springtime, and it can be helpful. Why not teach things you know? Maybe you have skills of, you're a blacksmith. If you could do a class where you do that, there'd be a lot of people that would be interested. I love sharing skills. What about making soaps? I think it's important for us to do things like that. Like Blue says, I run workshops and groups at a local community center. Do you have a local community center that could happen? How about a senior citizen center? Because a lot of times they'll open it not just for the seniors, but to the public too, and you can share your knowledge. Because tonight's topic is all about sharing your knowledge. Now, a lot of us that are here on YouTube and in the chat are homesteaders, or they homestead in the city, or they homestead in an apartment. There's a lot of different ways you can do that kind of stuff. And there are homestead conferences all across the country. Not that there's ever one in Wyoming, though. I don't know why not. Probably because we have such a low population. Patty says that I taught seed sowing classes to a local community health center. See, this is fabulous because if we share what we know, it just benefits everybody. I find it very satisfying to teach different things I know. And I always learn something because people in the audience will ask you questions or they'll tell you a story, and all of a sudden you're learning things that you didn't know. And I like that. I find it very interesting. I've seen people teach at farmers markets. I've seen people teach at greenhouses. I think there's a lot of things. Diana says, you have to star one. I don't know what that means. Partner with friends to teach art and gardening classes. That works really well. That's true. If you can do some combinations, that it can help. Oh, start one. Sorry, I didn't understand at first. If you can partner with somebody, especially if you haven't done a lot of public speaking, it can be really helpful for people to have a partner. There's been different times at the Master Gardeners we've partnered, and we take a topic, and it's like this person's doing this and this person does this, and you feed off each other, and off the audience are giving you ideas and thinking about everything. And the Vineyard Chicks. Hello, girls. How are ya? I hope you're doing good. Thank you very much for that. Always click the button because it always helps with our analytics from YouTube. Local elementary schools are so eager to have guest speakers for their classes. This is true. I'm supposed to do a class with my granddaughter. And so my daughter is working with that, and we'll see what happens. And that's always a fun thing to teach kids. I mean, they're just so fun. They're just so, it can be very amusing, but they will always tell you stories. And that's part of the fun of it. Hello, Keith. How are you? And so you guys in the chat, a few of you have said where you've taught classes at. So you guys, if you haven't already said any ideas, tell us how you've shared your knowledge. Maybe it's just a weekend with your daughters or your granddaughters, and you're teaching them how to can or how to bake a certain dish that your family has always loved. These are just parts of sharing our knowledge. I think we have a responsibility to do that. And I think it helps build our family, build some memories. I know that we had a couple that was coming to all of our Master Gardener gardening classes because we usually try to do them once a month. And it's different topics. And we try to do it at our library or at what we call the George Amos building. It used to be the original library here. And then we try to do it at the library down in Wright, which is about a half hour from us. And so that just brings it around. And so many people, if they can't do it on one day, they can do it on a different day. Oh, see, Blue says, I have a blog as well. Come over when he wants one. My son comes over when he wants one of my recipes, and I make it. See, this is good. I think we need to teach our kids. And a lot of times we haven't taught our kids. But sometimes people, life is different than it was 100 years ago. The Vineyard Chick says, our grandpa brought us to his garden whenever he could. See, these are things that you get to learn. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a classroom setting when you're sharing your knowledge. Sometimes it's just the grandkids. Like Patty says, grandkids in the kitchen, hands-on. That's core memory stuff they never forget. Totally agree. You know, lots of times we learn by just doing it. And I mean, YouTube is a great source because we can share what we do. But there's just a lot of ways that we can do it. I'm just looking through there. Blue says, sorry, my phone is being weird. So, okay, there. I think I'm all the way caught up at looking at all the chat. Sorry, I don't want to ever miss somebody if they're giving us a comment or talking about something. A lot of times, if you okay, I am just I don't mind because I am a believer and I like having scripture, you know, if it's relevant with the talk. But then when it starts to go off, sorry, so I just took him off. I haven't had him on my chat before, and so I just took him off. Sorry. I hate taking off the scripture part, but I don't like when it starts to go into all kinds of stuff that we're not even talking about. Okay. That's my little rant for right now. The Vineyard Chicks say, we learned then, and our parents made it part of our curriculum too. I think this is great when parents can look at what's happening around their children and then turn that into a learning experience. That's sharing your knowledge. And I think that's a fabulous thing to do. One of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel was because a couple of my girls said, you should start a YouTube channel and tell everybody all those things that you know. Well, sometimes that works and sometimes it does work. But it has been a good journey. And one of the things, like one of the things of my why I do YouTube is because I want to share what I've learned through 66 years of life. And oh man, thank you very much. And you know, in November I will be on YouTube for 5 years. That's a lot of videos. And it has been good. Nancy says, the same here. My grandparents and my parents always had a garden when I was little, up to 13 years old. And how many things can when we're out in the garden and we're sharing with our kids or our grandkids, and you can turn that into another story, another learning thing. And I like that. We learn a lot. We learned from a lot of our friends on here too. Oh, especially Miss Sandi. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. But I think I'm actually going to do the idea with the book. And I'm not sure if I should do a different book for different kids or if it should just be one. And at some point they can just take it from one to another, because there are things. And there are things like when my kids were growing up, I thought they would remember, how to do this or how to do that. And I can't even tell you how many times when they grew up, it was like, how do we do that? Yes, 5 years in November. That's a long time. And I mean, I had a YouTube, before that, but in November is when I started doing my actual videos. And so that's kind of exciting, I tell you. Oh, and look who's here. The Angie girl is here. Now, this is so fun because Henry, he does these shots, and it's like, it must be like a cam for out in the woods. I can't think what those are called. We have one. I can't even think what it's called. Anyway, so you can watch the deer go through his property, or they can do all these different things. I love it. I love watching the wildlife. It's an amazing thing. Patty says, I took my granddaughters out to my garden to toss out the vegetable scraps for the compost. It became a lesson on insects and more. Isn't that the way it is? You know, you start doing one thing, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's it reminds you of something. And so then you start learning about something else and how to do something else. It's amazing. Sharing knowledge is amazing. I learned how to make vanilla extract from you. Yay! So much fun. And I think probably it is probably one of the best things in our lives when we get to share with others. I think sometimes we think that, oh, nobody's interested. Nobody wants to know those things. But I am surprised over and over and over again when people, even a long time later, they come back and they say, you know, when you taught me how to do that and how it made a difference in their life, that's a great thing. That's a great thing of that it's important to share your knowledge. It's important to share with kids, grandkids, your grown-up kids, the people around you. We are having a class in September, and one of our youngest master gardeners is teaching it. I'm positive she's the youngest master gardener that we have. She's a college student, and she's teaching on how to take vegetables that you already have harvested and grow them again. So like when you pull up your celery, and so you're leaving 2 or 3 inches of that heart part of the celery, and you put it in some water and it starts to grow again. So she's talking about all these different things, and I'm so excited for her. And so she's doing a class here in town, and then she's doing it down in Wright too. So I'm just so proud of her that she was willing to try to do that, and she's excited about doing that, and it's just going to be amazing. We sharpen our knowledge and add to it by teaching others. We are always learning. Oh, so agree. Every single time that you teach a class, you are going to learn something else. Angie says you could do one book, then when you're done with it, you could make us all copies. You could use your printer and take it to Staples or Office Max for copies. That's true. That's true. If I did it on my computer, then I could just have it printed off. And then I could add the pictures, which would be probably easier. Oh, that's a good idea, Angie. Totally a good idea. Yay. It is. Regrowing veggies is so fun. And it's like, I regrow veggies in the garden. Like when it's springtime, I go to the store, you know, in the bundles of green onions you get. Always, I cut them about 1.5 inches, put them in the soil, and by the time I'm harvesting, they're as big as leeks. They are just fabulous. And then I can grill them. They taste so good. It's just awesome. It's all sharing knowledge. And I'm just so excited that she's going to teach that class. And it's a tough thing to be a teacher and be a young person when you know there's all these other older master gardeners and the public is there. I'm just proud as can be that she's going to do it. Oh, Madeline says, I did that, Angie, with my mom's written recipes. Had it printed out for all my family. I love that idea. I have both of my grandmother's cookbooks and their recipe cards and my Aunt Grace's recipe box. I love those. And honestly, I really should make copies of them so everybody can have them. Can you teach an old dog new tricks? 66. And Sandi taught me about extract. People always can learn. I don't care how old they are. They can always learn. I will tell her. I'll tell her that we were talking about her on the live stream and that you're proud of her too. I am. I'm just so excited for the class. And I know she's probably doing way more work than any of us do for any of our classes because it's our first time of teaching a class. Sign us up. We will buy a few. Oh, girls. You never know until you try. That's true. There's been many times in my life when I wanted to learn something, and it's much easier now to find somebody that will teach you. But there was that period of time that, there wasn't really the internet. You had the library books, but I honestly learned a lot of things from library books and then you try it and you tweak it and you learn. And I find, honestly, it's probably easier now because the world is at our fingertips online. And so many people are willing to teach. And it's so much easier to find out if somebody's teaching something than it was before. And so I think we live in a great time in that aspect, that knowledge is exploding. Now, sometimes do you have to filter through that knowledge? Filter through something that somebody's sharing? Yes, sometimes you do. But it's just like when I'm looking for something on YouTube, I will watch multiple videos on that subject because sometimes I'll be watching a video and I'll go, no. Next. But that's okay, I'll show you what I did. I did yesterday. I think I did yesterday. Just to share a little teeny bit. So I grew some lemon trees from seed. I do it all the time. And I had them in the styrofoam, and I decided I was going to pot them up because I got a new light. And so I was going to put them all under that. And I look in my styrofoam pot, right? I think maybe there's 12. There was 24 containers I used, and almost all of them have more than one in there. There was a lot of them I potted up. Oops, I hit my computer. And then I had to push another one in there. So we'll see how they go. I've grown lots of lemon trees, so I'm sure it will work perfect. Then let me show you my other thing. This is my newest purchase. This is an electric pressure canner. I am just so excited. And so I was doing some beef broth. And so I got about 5 pints. There's one that's not as full as the other ones. But that was really, I think I'm really going to like it because it is one of those things that so if you make a batch of something, you don't have to eat it for 5 days or find room in your freezer. You can 1 quart in there. Pressure can 1 quart if you wanted to. I'm so excited about it. What kind of lemons? Angie, they were my lemons from down in Arizona. So some of them are Ponderosa and some of them are Meyer lemons. So, and I can't tell you which one is which. I have to tell you when they get bigger. I answer loads of questions from gardeners and often share how I find answers so that they can begin to find answers themselves. That is an interesting thing. Like, I belong to a lot of gardening sites on Facebook. And it's this balance thing that I like to help people out. But sometimes they ask questions without ever even doing any research. And then I wonder, should I just tell them the answer, or should I show them how to get that answer? I don't know that person's just on Facebook. So sometimes it's back and forth. Sometimes I'll tell them the answer, and then I'll tell them where to find the answer too. Oh, and on Mama's list, this is something you girls should get your mama for Christmas. It would be a great Christmas present for her. And it was really pretty easy to do. I mean, you have to watch it at first until you flip it over to the airlock, which didn't take that long. And then after that, it does it all by itself. It was fabulous. Can I get a few ponderosas? I really want to plant a few lemon trees outside. Of course you can. Of course you can. I could even actually take you some cuttings and we could root them. That would be faster even, if you want me to do that. It can be overwhelming with all the questions. I'm like you, involved in a lot of groups. It's crazy sometimes. but it's all good, because the whole thing is, you have knowledge, share it. I think you have a responsibility to share it. But I am past time, and I am barbecuing steaks for Joe. They've been marinating. I cut up the mushrooms and the onions and some garlic, butter already. So I got to go. It's been great talking to you guys. I really actually wish that more times I would bring more people up and we could actually have a conversation like that too. I'm going to have to start doing that more. But everybody have a great night. I will see you next time. Thanks for stopping in.